That hurt. More verticality. No, I don't know how these are going to go, Brett. I mean, you got to keep in mind this is the second time today I have to do this show.
At least you had a rehearsal for the prime time video. That's our show.
That's right. That's right. This is the show. But I do want to thank Tactical for having me on in place of Pete today. I don't know if that's going to be a normal thing. I guess Pete's got a gig right now, acting gig. So
nice.
Yeah, he couldn't even watch the game. He's got to finish the game tonight when he gets back from his gig.
Fair play. Yeah, I mean, you get it. You get it. Work works.
Yeah, I'm sure he's playing his regular role as a cop or a detective or something on one of those dun 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 shows.
Dun, dun.
Although I don't know if we should be talking about this, but I think Pete's been pretty public at this point that he's an actor and everybody knows it. So out in LA. So I don't think we're exposing him or anything.
Well, I mean, what's to expose? I mean,
well, yeah, you can find him on Google.
I work in IT. No.
Yeah.
No, wasted.
But if you look up Pete Doubt-It, you're not going to find it. I'll just put it that way because, well, whatever. Or is that how he pronounces it? I'm Pete Doubt-It. It's Doubt-It, right? Yeah, you should doubt it. You should doubt it.
I'm doubting it right now.
That
sounds like a fake name.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Oh my God, this game today, Brett. Oh, I know you had company over. I had to watch it alone. I did get a text from my mom, but she knows not to bug me too much while I'm watching the game. But her first thing was, Skunkhead is starting. I'm like, yes, he is.
Goodness. That threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
So,
I just didn't get it.
I always had to preface everything before I talk about Skunkhead, but at the very minimum, what you're going to get from him. You're going to get a lot of effort. He tries and he tries and he tries, and sometimes he does well. I don't want to discredit the times where he makes a solid play, but what exactly does he bring to the picture that Pepe doesn't?
Yeah, exactly. There is nothing. In fact, even though Pepe only played, the last, 20 minutes of the game.
About, yeah.
When he came in, he made a much difference. I mean, it didn't end in a goal or anything, but he got on the ball more. He found open space better than Zardes did. He didn't have bricks for feet.
Yeah, that's the big thing right there, isn't it? Now, yes. He kept the play. He kept a lot of plays that all would have ultimately gone, towards Canada's way, but he kept them alive a lot of the times. He had a couple of opportunities. Get your knee over the ball. Come on, wrap your foot around it, put it on goal. But as a whole, Pepe's 20 minutes were much better, much more impressive in my opinion.
Much more promising.
70 minutes. But saying that, there's something to be said that Zardes started. Everybody was fresh. So it's not going to be, it's apples and oranges when you come in against worn down players. But I mean, I just think I've seen Pepe play from start to finish of a game. I've seen him play a number of times. I just don't exactly understand what Zardes brings more so than Pepe.
The answer today was nothing. And it doesn't help when you plan on playing a patient, technical, pass it around the park game. And Zardes is involved with the triangles.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to be able to do what you want. You probably better getting that from Ferreira than you're going to get from Zardes.
No, absolutely.
Understand Ferreira just played, but if that's your plan, and how many times was Zardes nowhere near the box? Just nowhere near it. So many times. So
not that it matters. None of our freaking crosses go to anywhere dangerous positions.
There weren't a whole lot of crosses today, though, were there?
There were attempts, but even then, so Canada, all props to Canada. They figured us out, and
that's Berhalter, real hard.
Yeah, I know. And Berhalter just fails to adjust.
I mean,
you have 11 Canadians out there playing ice hockey against a U12 U.S. men's national team. That's what it felt like, because it was just nothing more than a bunch of hip checks and body checks and forearms pushing. They played a very physical game, and props to them for knowing that they're playing for apparently a ref that lets that shit go.
I guess they must have researched that guy, because he didn't call jack.
He didn't call anything.
He just let everything go. I talked to Manuel Veth about this today from Transfer Market, and we were saying the same thing. This was a physical battle, and we didn't really win it. We didn't. And the ref, as Manuel said, at least he called it the same way across the board.
Yeah, I will say. So you mentioned I had company over, and we obviously bitched about the no calls and stuff like that. But the one thing that was brought up multiple times is at least he's kind of no calling it across the board,
which can make for a really ugly game.
It made for a really ugly game.
It certainly did. It did. I mean, we helped because we are so goddamn predictable. The way we mechanically maneuver the ball around the pitch, I can tell you who's going to get the ball next. It's so fucking obvious. And it's not just because I can see the whole field and it's on my screen. It's just because I already know. I know how this is going to go. And our switching the fields, like, when you have a guy standing wide open and he's on the left side of the field and you're on the right side of the field, do we really need to have 2 more passes to 2 more different players to get it over there? Can no one switch fields on this fucking team?
In today's game, no, simply because I think that once the ball reached about 10 feet off the ground, there was probably about 60-mile-an-hour wind, always going in the opposite direction, because that ball hung up in the air, didn't go nearly the distance it needs to go, and it's just, I don't know.
Well, that's what happened to Turner on his bumble, where he basically just gave the ball away. And that led to the quick counter.
In fairness, so he gave the ball away at the halfway mark. I mean, there should have still been some defenders in between him and the ball. I mean, but saying that, you as a goalkeeper, you have to recognize that. You have to recognize when the crosswind is that harsh, especially coming probably towards you, because that ball died immediately. So stop playing it that high up in the air. Stop playing it that far. Play it short.
Well, and that's what everybody else thought he was going to do, is play it short. When he had the ball. And so they immediately go out wide looking for open space out wide so he can get it out wide. So when you kick it down the middle, directly down the middle to the other team, and that guy didn't waste any time getting that ball up to the 2 forwards.
It was a dink, 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 and all of a sudden in our box.
Yep.
It's instant. Now that's also another huge pet peeve of mine with the team tonight. Our team. Is that there was just way too many dribbles, way too many people dribbling more touches than need be. Yeah, when you're getting that pressed, that high press, and that physical game is there, you need to take one touch, control it, one touch to maybe progress it, and then look for that pass immediately.
That's certainly one of my issues with McKinney.
Yeah, I mean, today McKinney had a decent game, but man, when he started throwing in all those dribbles, it was just nonstop going.
It was too much.
Pass the ball.
I mean, sometimes he didn't have a passing option, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked up and he put his foot on the ball, and then he's like, well, no one's open. And then, he did his thing, and it didn't work all the time. Sometimes it did, but not often, not eventually when 3 guys are on you. So just still too much hero ball on this for certain players. They take too much on. And I understand it. It's a desperate situation when we need to score a goal and they're bunkered and we can't figure out how to unlock it because we're just doing the same things over and over and over again and they don't work. And yet we make no adjustments except for the second half when we decided to only go down the left side of the field. That was it. Apparently the right field had been banned or blocked off, or there was a wall. Because, I mean, Guests didn't get many opportunities to do much in the second half. But, and maybe that's because they want to get Pulisic the ball. But again, not to, not to boo-foo fucking and load up on the negativity on Pulisic, but did he just not hear Gregg's last presser where he said, we don't really need you to be the hero on this team anymore?
Yeah, I thought his play was like kind of 50-50. Sometimes he did play with some urgency and get rid of it quickly, but then there were quite a few times where he just continued to try to drive it through. And
he's a little better this time, little less dribble through, but he tried that too on a couple occasions, tried to dribble through the whole fucking team, and then he would fall over, and then Manuel said, what is it? Every time that Pulisic gets the ball, he takes flight. Yeah, I mean, some of those weren't fouls, but he went down really, really easy. And
honestly, the wrong ref to try that on, though.
Yes, exactly.
Another that ref wasn't calling like legit fouls,
right?
Let alone little tug of the jersey or tap on the shoulder. Yeah. Now that's something that they should have recognized early on in the game, that this is going to be a very physical game. So you're gonna have to play a little more physically. Like, you may have to take those hits and still try to stay up, because shit wasn't being called.
Speaking about taking hits, Richards is out. Likely Adams is out next game. Both injuries. Zimmerman had a strain, left testicle strain, but I think he's coming back next game. Should be good to go. Apparently they've been massaging that testy all day. And then, so that's going to make things interesting, because now we're going to have to play with Acosta next game. Oh, God, Lord, help us. God. I mean, we could honestly lose to Honduras. Honestly, I think we could. I think it's possible if Honduras suddenly awakens and the team that's been playing so bad, this whole octagon, says, we got nothing to lose. Fuck it. Let's just go out there and, like Trinidad and Tobago, these guys. Yeah, it's really concerning. So we talked about the ref. We talked about the pattern of play being so predictable that it's practically constipating the players. And I know I've used that word before, and I used it today on this show.
Works.
But yeah, that's what it is, folks. I mean,
so we have so many talented players, like legitimately playing on like top tier teams and top tier leagues. Yep. We have these very skilled players that, for whatever reason, cannot move off the ball, cannot string proper passes from time to time for huge chunks of the game,
and can't stay connected to one another.
The possession that we maintain throughout the game, like, so you look at the possession, you look at the stats, you're like, USA had 67% of the possession. Well, that's great, seeing how 90% of that 67 was passed between our defensive players.
Meaningless.
Back and forth. Did we have really much on the attack? We had some opportunities. I mean, McKinney had his chance on goal, and the Canadian goalkeeper came up massive, stopping that. But outside of that, the chances were so few and far between that it was just so frustrating to watch. And yeah. I think the big question mark here is really coming down to the inability of change within the game that we're seeing from Berhalter's side.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we come out with the exact same 4-3-3, legitimately. And I'm not saying that the same players out there, because we came up with more or less the same lineup, assuming that we're going to come out with a 4-3-3. But sometimes maybe some change is needed. Maybe we
play
don't
two forwards, two strikers.
Maybe we don't need to go with a 4-3-3. Maybe we need to go with a 4-4-2 again. Good. God forbid we go with a 4-4-2. I mean, who plays that anymore?
Out of style. Yeah. I mean, again, these are all good points, because the way we're trying to play is unnecessary. Look at what Canada does. They're undefeated in the octagon right now. They play a game that fits what they can do. That's it. That's all they do. They got a game plan, and they'll play the low block, and they'll counter you, and they have two forwards who are decent.
I think it changes, because I think against at least us. I don't know about I can't recall back on the Mexico game, because I've had many a drink since then. But at least with us, they simply played a very physical game, and they looked for that quick counter. And that quick counter came up a couple of times. They capitalized on one. Mind you, the second one was, we were all pushing for that final goal, of course. But ultimately, they planned. It seemed like they didn't necessarily plan to control the game. That wasn't necessarily their game plan, at least from what I've gathered.
Right.
It looked to me like they were going to weather the storm and look for that quick counter. And they realized that when the U.S. team starts getting physically pushed around, we lose it. We lose our control. We lose everything about it. So they came out. They played us physical. We didn't recognize it, and we continued trying to push our normal standard Berhalter 4-3-3 stratagem.
How could we not recognize it? It's so fucking obvious.
Everybody here recognized it.
Even more
obvious.
Even more frustrating is Gregg coming out in the post game conference and saying, we outplayed them, we out physicaled them, we outpossessed them, we dominated that game. And sometimes you lose games that you dominate.
Obviously the second goal probably would not have occurred if the first goal didn't occur. The first goal, the real only chance on goal. And again, props to them for finishing it. That's what a real striker can do. You take your opportunities when they arise and you finish them.
When you're reading the chart and it says you had 62% of the possession, you had more shots on goal, or shots, not shots on goal. You had more expected goals. Who fucking cares about anything? Any of that? The only number that matters is the top. 2, Canada, USA, 0. That's the only thing that matters. I'm sorry. So of this,
how many Dos Aceros have there been in our history where the rules were reversed?
I wish I had
Mexico outpossessed, outshot, out everything to us, but we ended up winning 2-0. I'm not saying that this is the equivalent of that.
But it is.
Yeah, it is the equivalent. Canada came out with a game plan on how to handle us, and they handled us.
Right.
We may have maintained the possession. We may have had more shots. We may have did everything else. But one thing that we didn't do is we didn't realize what they were playing, and we didn't finish our chances.
And Gregg's got to learn that if he wants to play this super, passy thing, that and by the way, it wasn't quick enough. It was too slow and lethargic all day. The passes weren't going fast enough. Guys had to take 2 touches, as you were saying earlier, to pass a ball. Sometimes when the ball's rolling your way and you're playing on a field that's pretty consistent, maybe you don't like it because it's hard as a rock, you still can hit it one time and get that ball moving to the other side of the field. No one did it today. Everybody stopped it. And it's like everyone's afraid to make a fucking mistake. And yeah, it's very annoying at this point. But I don't know what the solution is. I don't know exactly what the solution is going to be for Gregg, I should say. We've already brought up some options. But
this cycle is set in stone at this point. Hopefully our players continue to just edge out results. We qualify and we move on to the World Cup, see where the chips may fall.
Yeah.
With the talent we have, there's no reason why we should be edging out results as we are. And don't get me wrong. Yes, I understand CONCACAF is a completely different game. It's physical, it's dirty, it's you're getting bum rushed nonstop. But I mean, we should be. And Canada is not necessarily a team I'm going to bring up here because they're hitting a high spell of themselves right now. But I mean, we should be beating El Salvador at home more than 1-0. We shouldn't be going into Honduras concerned that we may not necessarily get the result we need.
We should learn
where we're at.
We should learn to shoot from the outside. Yeah. Nobody tried that either, except for Aronson on one occasion. Nobody's being creative. Nobody's, moving into open space.
Well, I mean,
finding the lanes.
How are you supposed to shoot from outside when your game plan is to get it out wide and cross into the 6?
But see, that's the thing. if your game plan is to do that, which is what it is, they essentially forced us, and that's what El Salvador did to us as well. They forced us out wide. When there's one guy in the box, what good does that do you?
How many chances did the ball go past the box into the far post and there was nobody there?
Yeah. I mean, it's
set plays.
If you have two strikers up there, maybe that's worth it playing like that. And people are going to say, well, who are you going to play in the midfield if you play a 4-4-2? We don't have any other good. No, you move Guest up into the right midfield spot and you put fucking Yedlin back at right back. All right. Because he can play the right midfield or right winger / right midfielder. And then you still got in the middle, Adams, McKennie, and on the left, you got Musa. And you're set. You're set to go. You're going to dominate the midfield with that kind of lineup because those guys are going to outnumber the other guys, or at least they'll be equal. But when another team plays a 3-5-2 against you and you're outnumbered in the midfield all day, and so connecting the back line to the front line becomes near impossibility as far as making anything creative happen, and it's all jammed up and shit, well, then you got to do something different. And we don't. We just don't. And I mean, people are going to say, oh, you know, we're being too hard on Gregg or whatever. Some people will, most people won't. So what? He's a grown boy. Yeah. He's got grown boy pants on, and it's not like we're ripping it off his grown boy pants and stomping his little testicles. We're just basically criticizing him for not fixing obvious issues. They're obvious. And then having a press conference where I guess Jimmy Conrad was saying, well, maybe he was saying all those things about how we dominated to protect his players. Protect his players. His players don't need to be protected.
They're grown adults that play in more competitive leagues than this. I mean, they're getting trashed on much harder than what we do here. And
he's protecting himself. That's what he's doing by saying we dominated the game. That means me, Gregg. Gregg did good job. Gregg did good job. Don't criticize Gregg. I do notice that the turd didn't have his usual spiel at the beginning of the press conference, though. That's good. That's a change for the better.
That's becoming canon. People are bringing that up now, like the turd. And like, I swear, every time I hear that, all I can think of is the TV show Last Kingdom. They bring that up on there. Like,
I put together a bunch of clips of the turd and audio clips, and I have a turd cartoon that who will mouth the words, but I was just thinking, is that too mean? I mean, that guy, Mike, or whatever his name is, I'm sure he's a really nice guy, and he's being handed a piece of paper, and they're like, "Hark, Herald! I, Mike, will now read the following.
Hear thee. No, it's probably more along the lines, and I feel bad because he's probably a big fan of ours.
And I just felt bad as I put together the clips of the turd, and I was like, God, I don't really want to do. I feel bad, but I'm still going to call him the turd. I don't know his real name. I think it's Mike something. Some guy. Who was it? Somebody let us know what his real name was. They're like, his name's not the turd.
Colin brought it up on somebody else's show. They brought it up on one of the pressers.
Yeah, he brought it up on our page too, YouTube page. So then we end up at the end of the game going with, because, well, first it was a 4-1-1-1-3. It was basically, actually, it was just Acosta playing in front of the two center backs, and everybody else went into attack. And then, of course, we lost Richards, and that's a broken foot as far as we're being told. So he's gone. So I would expect, now that Zimmerman's healthy, that we do Miles and Zimmerman, although Miles did not have a good game. And for once, he looked really slow out there. I was surprised about how lethargic he looked. Like fucking Canadians were just flying by him. Like he was standing still, especially in the last goal. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I mean, maybe it was the cold. I don't know.
It could be the multiple months off from not really playing a serious game.
There's that for sure. That doesn't help, but he looked really tight.
I guess in fairness, though, regarding that, I still would have called him up and probably still started him regardless because of how consistent he's been. So I don't want to necessarily state that, he hasn't played a serious game in 3 months. He shouldn't have been called up. No. He should have still been called up and played, but that's probably a cause.
Yeah, I don't know who else you put in. McKenzie? I mean, that would scare me.
Just about as many games.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's been out of Genk's lineup for a little while now, and then they had the break, and then he came back and started, and then he went back to the bench again, and I don't know what's going on there, but I do, but I don't want to get into it. So that was a little weird. We went into this desperation mode, right? At the end, and we played better than we did the whole other 70 minutes or 80 minutes prior. Now, was it ugly? Yeah, but actually, like, there was a chance something could happen, whereas before nothing looked like it could possibly happen.
I mean, when you're playing the game where you're possessing the ball around the field and you're going to work your way over to an inline and then look for a cross, it's very predictable. It's very everything. But when you're desperate and you're like in the final minutes of regulation and you're lacing in 40-yard bombs over here, defense have to clear it out, but then it goes right to one of our midfielders. It's opening up opportunities. And I'm not saying that we need to play like that, but there is something to be said about some chaotic soccer from time to time.
No shit, dude. Sometimes just pile everybody in.
Take a chance.
And I mean, what's the free kick that Pulisic took at the end? He kicked it straight to the goalie from 40, 50 yards out. What was the point of that?
I think from what the commentators were saying is that he thought he saw at least
a putty cat.
He putty cat. He thought. Seriously, he thought he saw that the goalkeeper was cheating off his line to get ready to go out there to catch the overball. So he's probably trying to catch him off the line. Which sometimes maybe if you would have aimed at one of the corners instead of right down the middle, he might have caught him off the line.
Dude, the chances of that going in,
I don't disagree with that. I would have done that.
So fucking astronomical. And then you've already brought up Richards, and you've already brought up no, Richards was out already, I think, by then. But anyhow, you brought up all your tall guys. They're all lined up. They're ready for it.
Not that they make a lick of difference on any of our set plays. We can't fucking cross the ball.
They don't, but you could have just dumped the ball in the box and just saw what happened. Maybe if it bounces off of, Pepe's right testicle and goes in.
You think he is Zardes? Not going to happen.
Yeah, I think Zardes was out. I was going to say Zardes, but I think he was out already by that time. I just think we don't play very smart. I don't think we play very smart. I think we look like we're not having much fun about 90% of the time.
We on set plays. Let's just jump back to set plays.
All right.
We've got McKinney. We've got in today's game, we've got McKinney, we got Robinson, we've got Richards, all in the box, who are very good in the air. And we can't get it past the fucking first line defense. Why are we always looking at that near post slip?
Yep.
Get it in there. Let our players fight for it. Because it happened. McKinney, our best opportunity came from a cross that was in the middle of the box that McKinney was able to get to.
Get it in the junk.
That's how we beat Mexico in the Nations League.
Yep. Get it in the junk. Pulisic taking the corners. Get it in the junk and let the junk work itself out. Let it be a little fucking, under 10-year-old soccer game, whatever. Let it bounce around, ping pong around. Lucky shit happens. We never get lucky goals except for when Zardes plays. We didn't get one today, but
some bitch.
We never get lucky shit because we never jam it in there. You got to jam it in there sometimes, folks, and just let them.
Kind of very the connotation of getting lucky and jamming it in there. It's just the joke writes itself.
Yeah, it's probably not the right words I was searching for, but yeah, sometimes sometimes you gotta throw the marble into the group of other.
Get a fucking donkey punch in there, man.
You got to. I mean, you never know what can happen, but we never get those we used to get those goals all the time when I was a kid, in the 90s, in the 80s, because that was the only way. I mean, we were so good at set pieces for so long because that was like our opportunity to do something. And now it's like the worst thing we're at. We do set pieces. And no, Pulisic should not have taken that. He's not good at taking penalty free kicks outside the box. I've never seen him hit one. Have you? Ever?
No.
Let somebody.
Quite frankly, he hasn't really had many corner kicks recently that have been worthy of writing home to.
Yeah, he doesn't have a rocket, number one, so he's not going to be able to threaten the keeper on his own side. The keeper already knows that. Well, he's not going to rocket one past me on my side. So, of course, he's going to go up and over the wall, which he never succeeds at doing, ever. So, why don't we put some guy in there with a fucking gun? Like McKennie, he's got a rocket. Like, if you give him a free shot, that shit's a rocket. Even Acosta is pretty good at free kicks.
I'm kind of surprised Acosta's not taking more of a free kicks period.
Well, he wasn't on at that point yet. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, or corners, for that matter. Because, frankly, Pulisic's just not good at taking corners. Although that one pass to McKennie was the one I can cite. But most of them have been shite, frankly. Let's be honest.
Every other single one of them went to that front post that was just headed out every single time. I'm not sure. And maybe we're looking too much in this because, I mean, it's so consistent every single game, that near post ball, that we can't get past the first man of defense. Is that a game plan? I mean, seriously, is that passed down saying, hey, let's just do this? You slip it into your post, we'll get a head slip on there, and you guys follow up. Maybe it's a game plan because it's so consistent. We don't have those PK driven corner kicks, at all.
I just don't get it, dude. Corner kicks are not that hard, especially on a field that's 69 yards wide.
Yeah, that should have been the obvious thing there. How can you not lace that in there?
Yeah. I mean, this is not a far kick. All right. It's not a long ways. It's a fucking football field, arena, gridiron football field, basically wide. So, and in that case, don't you set up differently than you normally would? Maybe you try something a little different. But then again, every time Greg fucks with stuff, it fucks up and fucks him in the ass. So maybe that's why he didn't fuck around. Because every time he does and plays Tyler at right back or whatever, just screwing around, it backfires on him. So I guess he's just married to the 4-3-3-3. 4-3-3 at this point is all he can do. He's a one-trick pony, and everybody knows he's a one-trick pony, and everybody knows exactly how to play against us. And it's no surprise that we lost this game. None. Not surprised. And I'm not just shitting on Berhalter for shitting's sake. All right. I don't want to do this. I really don't want to. I'm not having fun watching these games. Not. So I'd rather we be dominating and winning so I didn't have to come on this show and bitch and moan. I don't like bitching and moaning. Okay, I do. But still, I don't want to do it if I don't have to.
We're old men yelling at clouds, so.
All right. Did you have anything else to add to this?
No, we got to cut this off.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, until segment 2, this has been the Straight Red Card. Make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your grandma, and we'll be back right after you hit the Busey bell. That hurt.